it is a Thursday edition of Southern Fried Sports, and at this time, we want to go to the Peterbrook Chocolatier studio line at 205-342-9904. Good friend of the program, neighbor as well. He knows about Rick the Neighborhood Fox, and that's Chase Goodbread of NFL.com, Crimson Cover Television, and also the Talkin Tide podcast. What about it, Chase? You seen Rick the Neighborhood Fox lately?
He seems to show up on your street more than mine. We have had a couple of sightings over where I'm at, so we do see him every once in a while, but not of late. Right now, our wildlife story for the moment is just this bird that decided to nest in my garage. That's what I got going on right now.
That shows you how much of a handyman Goodbread is, by the way. You know, when birds are able to just start nesting in the garage, that kind of tells you how much time you spend out there, which, hey, I'm not saying anything, Goodbread, because, you know, I should probably have a pack of birds, a covey of birds in my garage, as little as I'm out there.
Nested right in the middle of all those Christmas power tools, you know.
Yeah, that workshop, yeah, sure. Hey, Chase, wanted to touch on a couple of topics with you today, starting with the Jake Fromm, Tua Tagovailoa comparison. For the most part, what we've seen with these way too early mocks for the 2020 draft and, you know, hot boards, big boards from Mel Kiper and others is that Tua's been the guy as the top quarterback prospect for the 2020 draft. But CBSSports.com, I thought it was interesting here in the last few days, came out with an early mock that has Jake Fromm, Georgia quarterback, going number 1 overall to the Miami Dolphins in the 2020 draft. What are your thoughts on maybe Tua versus Fromm when looking ahead to the National Football League? Is there something we're missing with, or I like Fromm, but is there something some people are missing with Fromm in terms of putting him up there with Tua?
I think both of them are certainly going to be right. Tua will be one of the top, if not the top quarterback to go, I think, assuming he comes out, which most people expect. Fromm, I would expect to be in the top tier of quarterbacks in the class as well if he comes out. I think the difference between them is it's pretty clearly mobility. Tua has a little bit more of that, no question about that. And I think the NFL is trending toward more mobile quarterbacks. There's no doubt about that. Doesn't mean they're all running out trying to find a Kyler Murray, but the value that the NFL puts on escapability for quarterbacks is up. It's trending up, and Fromm's more of a stationary target than Tua. There's no doubt about that, and it's true that edge rushers are hard to find in the NFL, but elite pass protectors at offensive tackle, they're even harder to find than the edge guys, and that's why escapability with a quarterback is something that's valued a little bit more highly. I think Fromm is a heck of a quarterback. He'll pick you apart. He'll take what you give him to, you know, with the defense, and he makes great decisions. But to me, that's the difference between them, and ultimately it may be why Tua ends up with a little stronger draft stock.
It's interesting in this CBSSports.com mock, Chase, that it doesn't even have Tua going as the second quarterback behind Jake Fromm. It has Justin Herbert going number 3 overall to the Oakland Raiders, then Tua at number 5 to the Cincinnati Bengals. Would it surprise you in that scenario if Tua, all things being equal, obviously we can't predict the future from an injury performance standpoint, what's going to happen in the next 7 or 8 months, but would that surprise you to see Tua go 3rd in that group of quarterbacks?
It would. He's got a knack for the spectacular, which is another difference I think between him and Fromm. Fromm will eat a defense alive within the structure of an offense. Tua can, when the play breaks down, sometimes that can be when Tua is at his best. He's the most talented quarterback I've ever seen at Alabama, period. And then granted, Alabama's quarterback history with the NFL is not real strong. Let's be upfront about that. It's the one position where Nick Saban has not filled the draft with first round picks. But I think he's got a special one here for not only the Saturday game but the Sunday game too.
Could Jake Fromm's biggest obstacle in 2019 also be his biggest aid in terms of his draft prospects? Because he's losing 4 of his top 5 receivers at UGA, Chase. And if he's able to put up even comparable numbers to a year ago with basically Jeremiah Holloman returning of those 5 guys, and then Tyler Simmons has been around a little bit. Demetrius Robertson, some big things have been expected him forever, it seems, starting at Cal, and now since he's been back in the Southeast at the University of Georgia. But if Fromm's able to have a big year, even with that turnover at his receiver spots, including tight end Isaac Nauta moving on, how much could that help him maybe in comparison to Tua, who has obviously got just about everybody back other than Irv Smith Jr.?
It's a big, big difference between them going into this season. There's no doubt about it. And I think the key for Fromm is Robertson, because you're right. He didn't exactly splash into that rotation like a lot of people thought he would this past year. But his speed is completely legit. He's one of the fastest players in college football, and he flashed at Cal. I think Fromm needs a kind of a WR1 year from him, and if he gets it, then that'll make a huge difference. There's no doubt about it. But yeah, you're right. It's going to be a little tougher sledding for Fromm weapons-wise, a lot tougher sledding.
And if he puts up the big numbers again, though, that's got to help him in the eyes of scouts, because with Tua, in the eyes of some people anyway, it's going to be, he's got Jerry Jeudy. He's got Henry Ruggs III. He's got Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle. These are guys that can turn slants into 78, 79, 80-yard touchdown receptions. For Fromm, no Riley Ridley, no McCole Hardman, no Isaac Nauta, no Terry Godwin anymore. Those 4 guys combined for a little more than 1,900 receiving yards and 22 touchdown receptions a year ago. So a big, big void to fill on the receiving side of things for Georgia in 2019. Talking with Chase Goodbread of NFL.com, Crimson Cover Television, and the Talkin Tide podcast on Southern Fried Sports, presented by Mercedes-Benz of Tuscaloosa. Chase, also interesting on this CBSSports.com mock, Jerry Jeudy, not the first wide receiver off the board. And you're probably going to have to help me with this guy, because I'm guessing he's a redshirt sophomore at the University of Colorado, Laviska Shenault Jr. Can you tell us anything about that situation?
He's special. I don't know how much, Colorado football doesn't get on the TV much in the South, obviously, but he tore it up last year. He's fast, he's big, he's strong. For my money, Judy's the best wide receiver in the country, but those two are gonna get mentioned together, I think, for months to come, and maybe on into the spring.
Yeah, he's in this mock. He's going 4th overall to the Buffalo Bills, with Jerry Jeudy going number 9 overall. And I bet you can guess the team at this point. That's right, the Washington Redskins. I mean, why not? Go ahead and stock the offensive side of the ball while you're at it. If you're the Redskins,
the thing to do right now is put an Alabama guy with the Redskins.
Just load up the Redskins with Alabama players. But, something we've heard also of late, Chase, is we get into another wave of draft prospects, move into another class, are the pro comps. And for Jerry Jeudy, I've seen Odell Beckham Jr. bounced around a good bit. Is that the comp you would make with Jeudy, or do you have another guy or two in mind?
I don't quite see it with Beckham and Jeudy comp-wise. I try to veer away from the groupthink, as you know, a little bit, Travis, and there's probably some groupthink on that. With Beckham, he's 200 pounds, and he plays 215. I mean, he could be physical before the catch. He can be physical at the catch point, and he can be physical after the catch. And the quick, I can see some similarities with Judy's game, but Judy's not that big. He's not that strong. To me, maybe a more apt comp for him in the NFL would be Tyler Lockett, the kid from Kansas State who's made a Pro Bowl as a rookie with the Seattle Seahawks, had almost 1,000 yards last year, 10 touchdowns. Smaller in stature, kind of like Jeudy, but real slippery, quick, and gets in and out of his breaks, and really gets a lot of separation for Russell Wilson. Makes some throws pretty easy for Wilson with the separation he gets. Those two, and now draft-wise, there's no comparison because Judy's going to be extremely highly thought of, and I think Lockett went in the 3rd round. But just in terms of playing style, I would liken Jeudy a little bit more to a guy like Lockett than Beckham.
Yeah, I've never seen Beckham, and I'm sure he's done it. What I haven't seen Beckham do that I see Jeudy do is turn a slant into an 80-yard play. That's where I don't quite match it up after the catch. And I think that goes back to the skill set you're speaking of, and the kind of player that Jerry Jeudy is at wide receiver. In fact, I would probably stick more with some previous Alabama guys. If I was making that comparison with Jerry Jeudy, I'd probably look at Amari Cooper and Calvin Ridley before I would look at just about anyone else that's already in the National Football League. Hey, Chase, we know that last year at this time, there was some buzz about Josh Allen at Kentucky. I don't know if it was top 10 pick type buzz in May of last year with the former Kentucky standout, of course, as we know, went number 7 overall to our Jacksonville Jaguars. Quinnen Williams, there wasn't any buzz. First round, mid rounds, maybe even with Quinnen Williams. And all he does is end up going number 3 overall to the New York Jets. If you had to pick a guy in the SEC right now in May, looking ahead to the upcoming season and perhaps the 2020 draft, that could be that guy for this next class, who would you go with?
A couple guys I'd throw at you. One would be Caleb Chasen, the pass rusher at LSU. He's been there a couple of years. He flashed 2 years ago. Last year he was injured, could not play, and so production-wise, he hadn't done a lot at all at LSU, which is why a lot of people don't know much about him. He's one of the best athletes on that roster, and if he has a big season for LSU, you could see his name attached to the draft a lot come toward the end of the year. And another one I might throw at you is Kendrick Rogers, the wide receiver at Texas A&M. I think his production this year is going to be tied a little bit to Kellen Mond's development at the quarterback position. But Rogers is a big kid. He's 6'3" or 6'4", and 200 plus pounds. He's athletic. He can make plays. I think he might make a big jump in production too.
What about Trayvon Diggs? Could he be one of those guys? I mean, he's showing up on some big boards and mocks anyway as a first-round guy, so I guess he doesn't necessarily qualify. But given the injury that he had last year and sort of the limited tape that he has at this point, could you see Trayvon Diggs emerging as one of those top 15 type picks with a fully healthy year more than anything, but then also the production to go with it?
Yeah, top 15 is awful lofty, but I can definitely see him earning a lot of money this year. I mean, look, I think if he hadn't gotten hurt this past year, he's gone. Nick Saban's looking to replace that guy right now. But the injury being what it was, I think might have compelled him, or at least been part of his thinking and coming back to play another season. He's got the length NFL teams love at that cornerback position to battle some of these big, tall receivers that are all over the place now, really. So I think he's got a big chance to boost his draft stock this fall, and really I think in some ways, at least in terms of keeping him around, that the injury, I guess, was a little bit fortuitous, and if you want to look at it that way, for Alabama, because he could be gone right now, I think, if he'd had a good healthy year a year ago.
Yeah, kind of like Mark Barron with a torn pec or tricep or whatever it was in 2010 against Auburn, and it meant that he would pretty much be back and be a part of that crazy good 2011 defense the following season. Hey, Chase, as always, appreciate the time on the program. Be on the lookout for Rick the Neighborhood Fox and those coyotes, man. They're out and about,
we'll be keeping a lookout. I'll be home most of the day, so if we spot one, we'll know it.
Yeah. Goodbread always has that smoker going. That attracts him. I blame Goodbread. He's always got that food cooking on that back patio, that man porch of his, and that's what leads to the coyote infestation that we're dealing with now out in northeast Tuscaloosa.
It's on me.
That's right.
I'm waiting for that. I'm waiting for that homeowners association letter any day now, pinning that on me.
They like to write letters, Goodbread. Those letters, they like them.
Yeah. My old man used to call it the circular file where I put those things.
We'll talk to you again soon, Goodbread. See you, man.
All right, man.